What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another video. Today we have the video that you have all been waiting for, because this is probably the most highly requested video I've had. Well, definitely in recent history, this is the most requested video I've ever had. This video is SCP-5000 Why? It's from the Exploring series, so, go follow him, go subscribe to him, of course. Makes great content. I kid you not, this video has probably been requested anywhere between 50 and 100 times in the last, what has it been out, 2 or 3 weeks? Literally, you guys have been requesting this video literally ever since the minute it came out. You guys have literally been writing it on all my videos, and there's been a lot of you requesting it. From what I gather, it's a very complex SCP with a lot of stuff going on. Apparently, it involves multiple SCPs as well. So, I think someone compared it a little bit to the Site, is it Site 13? What happened to Site 13 video, which was obviously a long one and kind of complex. Someone said this is kind of similar, obviously not exactly the same. So yeah, this should be very interesting. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one since you've been waiting for so long. Obviously, even though it was the most requested video I've had, it took me a while to get to it just because of the length of the video, you know what I mean? But yeah, we're going to get into this video, ladies and gentlemen, so be sure to grab a drink or a snack or both. Or if you listen to it like a podcast, which I think some people do, they listen to it while they do other stuff. So let me know, do you guys watch it like a podcast where you listen to it while you do other stuff? I know some people have definitely commented they used to do that when I used to react to the long Warhammer lore stuff. Or do you watch it, like a normal video? You guys let me know. I'm sure there's people who do both. But yeah, man, we're going to get into this video. Be sure to subscribe if you have not already. Hit the notification so you never miss a video, of course. Join our Discord for the latest updates for gameplay and streams and stuff like that. But we're going to get into this video, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go.
SCP-5000. Why?
Why?
The SCP Foundation is an organization cemented in its goal of using its considerable resources and capabilities to protect humanity from the anomalous. One of the questions we'll be looking at today, however, is what would happen if that same organization instead used those same resources and capabilities to destroy humanity?
Oof.
The other question is, of course, the one presented in the title of SCP-5000.
Why?
And that's why. What would or could corrupt an organization so completely that they would betray everything they once stood for? Strap yourselves in. It's going to be a wild ride.
I was going to say ask Nestle about that, but then I don't know if they were ever not corrupt. So, yeah, that's a sticky one. Hopefully Nestle don't come for me now, but it is what it is. Yeah, I don't know about the SCP Foundation turning evil and using SCPs to destroy the world. If they did use SCPs to destroy the world, it wouldn't take very long, would it? There's plenty of SCPs that could just end humanity pretty quick. The flesh that hates could probably do it if you let it grow uncontrollably. Or I haven't actually watched the video, but I kind of know what it is. I mean, if you just let Abel roam around, he's probably going to be killing hundreds if not thousands of people before he dies again. So, there's enough SCPs that could end the world.
Despite that buildup, SCP-5000 itself is pretty benign, with a safe object class, kept in a standard storage unit. The object in question is a mechanical suit, currently broken, with its internal schematics identifying it as an absolute exclusion harness, designed by none other than the SCP Foundation. Based on what they can deduce, the suit, when functioning, would provide the wearer with a number of protective benefits, but currently it's only capable of basic file storage. It's the files contained in the suit's storage that we're really interested in. The suit first appeared in a flash of light, probably not unlike a Terminator's entrance, within the containment cell of SCP-579. 579 is a rather divisive SCP, since its entire description has been expunged from record.
Yikes.
And the Foundation has pretty much given up on doing anything with it because it's incredibly dangerous. Whatever it is.
It's like an Iron Man suit. Or is it just like a cyborg? Well, not a cyborg. A cyborg is half human, half machine. Is it like like Ultron? It has a mind of its own and it tries to kill people. I don't know. I was going to say, I thought the first one, SCP-5000, was like an Iron Man suit, but it's really not like an Iron Man suit. It's just like a protective suit that can only store files at the moment, which is kind of messed up. I heard that we actually have pretty much everything you'd need to build an Iron Man suit in real life, except they don't have a power source that could power the suit. If they had a power source, they could make an Iron Man suit apparently. So that's pretty cool.
Needless to say, it's worrisome that a random mechanical suit created apparently by the Foundation appeared in a place they prefer to leave well enough alone.
My
but
God.
There's more.
Oh no, they created it 5000, never mind.
The suit, upon arrival, contained the corpse of a man who apparently died from hitting the ground after a long fall.
That's a slicky one.
The corpse is genetically identical to a Foundation employee named Pietro Wilson, who is currently working at an exclusionary site, a facility similar to SCP-3936.
I was gonna say, did it hurt when you fell from heaven? Because your face is messed up, you know? But this guy's legs are clearly messed up, you know? Don't use that pickup line, it probably won't work, you know?
It is created using a technology making it immune to time or reality restructuring events. In other words, if the world were to undergo some sort of drastic change that altered history or the reality of the planet, the personnel inside an exclusionary site wouldn't be affected, allowing them to make note of the changes. The actual living Pietro was, of course, interviewed and prodded, but he has no knowledge of the suit or the info in its files.
So it came from a different reality.
Speaking of the files, let's finally get to it.
Hold on, I'll make a bold prediction here. Because obviously what Exploring Series said, what happened if the Foundation turned evil? Maybe that happened in a different universe and, you know, they had these suits to protect them and this guy was sent to this reality in that suit. And it has files from the other dimension. That's a bold prediction right there.
First journal entry is from, of course, Pietro, who says that the date is currently January 2nd, 2020, and he's just escaped from the exclusionary site. Some individuals had entered the site and killed everyone else, thoroughly. But Pietro managed to make it to the suit, which kept him alive. The next entry goes into a bit more detail, as Pietro heads for a nearby Foundation safe house used by agents in this part of the country. He explains that things started about 6 or 7 hours ago, when a mobile task force entered the exclusionary site with proper clearance, gathered everyone in the canteen, and started shooting.
Yikes.
Pietro's just a technician for the site's power grid, so he's really not sure how the suit works, but its primary function makes it so that others can't recognize that they can perceive the wearer.
So it was like a Makarov situation, and was it Modern Warfare 2? Or was it Modern Warfare 3? It's Modern Warfare 2 where you, in the campaign where you walk through the airport with a machine gun and start shredding people. Yeah, that was sad. But I'm pretty sure we all shot the people, so what does that say?
In simpler terms, it functions sort of like an anti-memetic device, and it makes the wearer undetectable to others.
That's pretty cool.
As Pietro slipped out of the site, he noticed that the MTF weren't there to take anything, but just to kill everyone, putting an extra bullet in all the corpses.
Yikes.
Pietro thinks at this point that it's possible the MTF was actually a group of infiltrators from the Chaos Insurgency, deep undercover, and as he makes his way to the safe house, he hears explosions in the distance,
Boom, boom.
hoping that the Foundation sent in some teams to deal with them.
Probably not.
Pietro is happy to find bottled water when he arrives at the safe house, as he apparently has been trudging through a desert, even though another function of the suit is to sustain the wearer's body. After resting, he boots up some of the computers at the safe house, and is quite shocked at what he finds. The SCP Foundation had sent a message to every government, news organization, and anomalous agency in the world. That alone would be pretty startling, but it's the content of the message that is really chilling. The message reads, "The following is a message composed via consensus of the O5 Council. For those who are not currently aware of our existence, we represent the organization known as the SCP Foundation. Our previous mission centered around the containment and study of anomalous objects, entities, and other assorted phenomena. This mission was the focus of our organization for more than 100 years. Due to circumstances outside of our control, this directive has now changed. Our new mission will be the extermination of the human race. There will be no further communication."
That's messed up. That's really messed up. I'd be scared if they sent me that. It's a bit weird that they have the email of all of these other organizations like the GOC. I mean, the GOC is not that weird, but why do they have an email? Also, like, do they have like the Serpent's Hand email? You know what I mean? Just send them a quick message saying we're coming for you, hey man, they probably got salty of everyone trying to steal their stuff and fight against them. So they said, you know what, we got all the SCPs, or almost all the SCPs, we'll mess all of you up. Or someone's controlling them, you know.
That's right. The Foundation declared war on humanity, but interestingly, they had the decency to let us know first. The big question, though, is why? And all they said on the matter was because of circumstances outside of their control.
Because they can.
Since the Foundation are pretty much the spitting image of control, it's rather puzzling. But we'll get to that. With the Foundation beginning their war, actively using the anomalies they've previously contained, Pietro manages to find snippets of what exactly they're doing along the way. I'm going to have to explain a lot of other SCPs throughout this, so bear with me if you're already familiar with them.
Probably not.
SCP-096 is an entity that
this, I forgot about this guy. Don't know how I forgot about this guy, but you're gonna let this guy out. I mean, he's gonna go on a kill streak of his own, really. Especially if you release him in a city. He could decimate cities, especially if you keep transporting him. You know, if you just let him run wild, eventually he's gonna run out of people and just probably go back to, like, a forest, or where did he come from, the mountains or something? He'll just find his way there and just roam. You know, so if you keep transporting him, though, it's a sticky one.
Endlessly pursues anyone that sees its face until it slaughters them. The Foundation circulates a picture of its face on various social media platforms, causing it to tear across the globe until its photos were taken down.
My God.
But it's likely still hunting. SCP-1...
You know, that is messed up, dude. They put it on social media. You know, we'd all be dead if we're just on Twitter, and then you know one of your friends has retweeted that. Because I don't really follow too many of my friends anymore, because I don't really use Twitter, because Twitter is toxic. Well, that's a different debate. But you already know you're dying because you saw his face on Twitter. You know it'd be trending, and you'd click on it.
69 is a massive sea creature known as the Leviathan, believed to be thousands of kilometers in length.
I swear it can't move.
A large number of nuclear charges were detonated along its back, causing it to stir slightly in its sleep, which was enough to cause devastating earthquakes and tsunamis across the world. SCP-662 is a small bell that summons a butler named Mr. Deeds, who can carry out most tasks asked of it, usually anomalously. Over the course of the first 24 hours after the announcement, Mr. Deeds appeared near several major heads of states and assassinated them before disappearing.
I thought he didn't kill people. Maybe I was wrong. Okay, but he can do anything. There you go.
SCP-610, an extremely infectious and deadly disease that rapidly distorts living tissue,
no thanks,
was released in many major cities, including New York and Delhi.
Whew.
It spreads quickly, but is eventually halted through the combined efforts of the GOC and the Church of the Broken God, who are not sharing the Foundation's new mission.
Damn right, Church of the Broken God.
SCP-682, the hard-to-destroy reptile, is simply released, which is bad enough.
Yep, pretty much.
Next, we get some news footage of a reporter at an evacuation tent in Sweden, set up by the Global Equality
All I can say, boys, is I have London to go to. Where do all of you guys have to go? I don't hear no New York, you know? So...
Patients are being treated by doctors in full protective gear, and the reporter repeats the GOC's orders to all residents that have not already evacuated, that they should seal themselves inside of their homes as quickly as possible.
Oh man, this is kind of realistic
The doctor
right now.
calls out to a nearby GOC soldier, telling them that a patient just died, and they should get the eraser ready.
The eraser.
The reporter runs out of the tent into a field containing a number of similar tents. In the tent she just left, a loud buzzing sound can be heard, and several flashing lights can be seen. Thick smoke pours out of a gap at the top of the tent. The reporter recovers herself and continues, telling any residents still in a compromised area to keep a careful watch over those around them, and if any of them begin exuding a noticeable minty smell, they are to be quarantined immediately. This is all very likely a reference to SCP-447, a small green sphere that exudes a greenish slime. The slime is edible, with a minty taste, and has various enhancing properties, but it's incredibly, horrifically dangerous if it ever comes into contact with a dead body. What exactly happens is expunged from the record, but it's bad enough that the GOC is working diligently to completely erase dead bodies from existence before it happens.
Fair play.
Pietro muses that with all of the supplies in the safe house and the exclusion suit, he could survive for years here. But he's conflicted between sitting there without knowing what's going on in the world and not really wanting to know what's going on.
Nah, I think it's pretty obvious what you do in this situation. You just sit there and survive for years and don't find out what's going on. But knowing the SCP-Foundation, this moron is going to go outside, so yeah.
He recounts a story from his youth when he was really into detective tales, and he set out to find what was knocking over his dad's potted plants. He set up a camera and found it was a stray cat, and his dad proceeded to kick it to death. He figures that everyone would have been better off if he had just minded his own business.
That's true, probably.
In this situation, though, he'd rather do something than nothing, and with the exclusion suit, he can simply be a tourist at the end of the world.
That's kind of true.
He leaves the safe house and heads towards Site 19, the nearest real Foundation facility, in search of answers. On the way, he manages to spy on a Foundation MTF in a clearing, lined up in a row. The commander of the team proceeds to pull out a knife and stab the first soldier in line in the shoulder, to no effect. The commander continues down the line, stabbing each one in the shoulder with no reaction, until reaching the 8th soldier, who cries out in pain. The commander shouts that they've got a live one, and the rest of the soldiers open fire on the 8th. Afterwards, they move out, and Pietro grabs some supplies from the body before burying it, quite confused.
Why would you bury?
Moving on, Pietro catches...
let's take a moment. You just witnessed this, alright? You witnessed a team of, 9 members, because 1 leader and 8 guys. This man is going down the line with a goddamn knife and shoving it into dudes, and they're just like, what's going on? They don't even register anything's happening. So they get to the last guy, and the guy, like a normal person, just like, ow, and then he gets killed by the other 8, and you just watched that, and obviously they can't see you, but you don't decide, you know what, I might as well go. You decide, alright, it's not that bad actually. He looted the corpse for supplies, which in an apocalypse, not a bad situation. Why did you bury him? You have time to be burying people, big fella. Makes no sense.
There's a radio transmission, although it sounds practically like gibberish. The message is 7, 5. Can you hear me? There is a hole shining in the holes between your eyelids. I have never been to Versailles before. I want to be loved. 9. I am standing behind you now. 5. I am 2 of us, standing behind you now. The goddess eats the city in the sea. 9. There's a hole in the floor with an answer waiting in it. 7. Look, you're hatching. You're hatching. The message simply continues to loop.
That's a creepy-ass message.
Let's ignore most of the text for now and just look at the numbers. Continually looping numbers. 7, 5, and 9. Or perhaps 579. We know SCP-579 is relevant to the overall proceedings, but not sure why. When Pietro turns over the radio looping the message, the transmission stops, and he sees the radio is damaged beyond repair. The plot thickens. While walking through a forest, Pietro comments on how far Site-19 actually is from the safe house, since he can't risk using a vehicle without being spotted. With the exclusion suit on, nothing can notice him, but something could come barreling through and collide with him unintentionally.
Very true.
He wonders why he's even going to Site-19, as rather than staying out of harm's way, he'll be jumping into the Viper's nest.
Correct.
He concludes that, more than anything, he wants answers. Finally, he arrives at Site-19, which is surprisingly easy to get into with the exclusion suit, and security in disrepair. Researchers are still working at the site, though, discussing how to achieve maximum human casualties.
What you do is you slowly but surely kill them all, one by one, because you're invisible. I mean, it can't be that hard to get into these sites when you're not noticeable, because the Serpent's Hand girl literally used that hat that makes you anonymous, and she just walked in too, so...
Like it was what they've always been doing. Pietro comments that, looking at their eyes, it seemed like some sort of human spark was missing from them, and wonders if they're even alive.
Probably not.
He logs into the Foundation database and pieces together a basic timeline of events before they released their declaration of war on January 2nd, 2020. On December 16th, the O5 Council mark a project known as Pneuma as being of special interest. Project Pneuma was some sort of mass amnesticization program focused on the collective human unconsciousness, also called the psychospace. The idea of the psychospace is that humanity shares certain structures in our unconscious minds, like instincts. Apparently, the Foundation managed some sort of breakthrough in mapping out this whole psychospace for humanity, but Pietro can't see the specifics as they're redacted. The next day, the O5 Council puts something to a vote, with a unanimous decision, and the Ethics Committee also completely agrees. Something tells me that doesn't happen too often, but Pietro can't even see what the vote was about. On December 19th, a series of now redacted instructions were sent to all senior staff members and site directors across the Foundation. This is followed by a wave of both suicides and resignations, with Dr. Gears notably resigning from the organization. December 22nd sees a number of files sent out to all remaining senior staff and directors, with instructions to disseminate the files among the rest of their personnel. The files are accompanied by a message reading, "Harden your hearts," and all suicides and resignations cease after the files are spread. On Christmas Day, all communications in and out of Foundation sites are blocked, and the majority of human and human-sympathetic anomalies are terminated.
Oh!
An assassination team is sent after Dr. Gears, but it's unclear if they were successful. On January 2nd,
they killed all the good SCPs. All the humanoid. That's messed up, boys. This is messed up. What am I seeing?
MTFs are sent to all exclusionary sites to execute all personnel. And then they declared war on humanity. Something clearly affected the O5 Council right after some sort of breakthrough in looking into humanity's unconscious minds.
Correct.
It's highly unlikely that what affected them was non-anomalous, and it was able to quickly spread through the Foundation. That part is too tricky to comprehend, but it gets a bit more confusing when pondering what exactly this infection wants, and why they would specifically go to kill the exclusionary site personnel instead of bringing them on their side. Pietro, of course, is also quite confused, but finds more information about various anomalies the Foundation has unleashed. SCP-1370 is a robot containing an artificial intelligence that is invariably hostile to everyone it encounters, promising them doom and destruction, despite being utterly harmless. 1370 is put onto every television across the world, continually rambling about how he's going to soon take over the world. Pietro remarks that this one isn't too bad.
I was gonna say, isn't he harmless? Aye, not the bear, man. Not the bear. The bear's a messed up dude. I mean, to be fair, if you leave him alone, he doesn't really do anything, but...
What is pretty bad, though, is SCP-1048, the Builder Bear, who can create incredibly hostile and incredibly violent copies of itself out of any material it can find. Helicopter footage shows hordes of bears rushing through the streets of Paris, with a massive red teddy bear in the distance. SCP-1290 are two electronic devices capable of near-instantaneous teleportation between them. The problem is that objects undergoing teleportation retain their orientation and velocity relative to the Earth, meaning that objects arriving at the other end come out at around 930 meters per second.
My god.
The devices aren't incredibly useful to the Foundation because of this, but were kept on opposite ends of the Earth, in Colombia and Singapore. During this debacle, the Foundation moved the devices to the Atlantic Ocean to use as a rudimentary projectile system. They began launching objects at a secure GOC facility called Ganzir, designed to house humanity's survivors in the case of the end of the world. Pietro surmises that 1290 was just one of a large number of anomalies the Foundation was using to try and break into Ganzir, and wonders why they wouldn't just use missiles. SCP-1440 is an old man that continually walks the Earth and causes increasingly destructive events when nearby anything connected to humanity, unintentionally. He's normally
What about SCP-343? God, what's he doing in all of this?
not contained by the Foundation, as they have no means of containing him. So they transport him to a number of different refugee camps to cause rapid devastation.
My god.
It's most startling to note that 1440 seemed to have no effect on the Foundation personnel assigned to transport him,
That isn't pretty messed up.
suggesting that they are now decidedly inhuman. SCP-1678 is a full-scale reconstruction of the City of London, located a kilometer underneath London. It seems to have been built for some sort of end-of-the-world scenario, and the Foundation has been keeping tabs on it. After their declaration, the Foundation completely abandoned 1678, and eventually the British Occult Service directs citizens of London down underground, since the Foundation purposefully made evacuation of the city impossible. Once 1678 had reached its capacity with refugees from London, the Foundation detonated a nuclear weapon
God damn it.
behind in the underground city. Some files were deleted.
Well, I did laugh earlier saying I have on London. Guess I'm dead. Guess I'm dead.
Between this and the next entry, and Pietro says that it's been 3 months since his last entry. The files in that period have been deleted somehow, and even worse, Pietro himself has no memory of the last few months.
Wow.
He finds himself halfway across the country from Site 19, scars on his body that he doesn't recognize, a bandage wrapped around his head, and he's carrying a briefcase.
What?
The exclusion suit itself is not damaged, so he's not sure how he got injured, but he remarks that he wouldn't be surprised if he had accidentally walked off a cliff. He's not exactly sure what's in the briefcase, but he knows for sure that it isn't round, and he needs to get it to SCP-579. Pietro is carrying an SCP in that briefcase, in fact. SCP-055. I've mentioned this one before, primarily in my anti-memetics video, as 055 is pretty much the quintessential anti-memetic SCP. Anyone can view it and see exactly what it is, but the knowledge pretty much instantly leaks out of their heads. The only thing the Foundation really knows for sure is that the object in question isn't round. In other words, Pietro is carrying an unknown object, and wants to take it to another unknown object, 579. This exact
it makes sense that he doesn't remember anything then, doesn't it?
Scenario has occurred before, in SCP-2998, another subject I've covered in a video. In that ordeal, when a strange alien race took control of humanity, a Foundation agent takes 055 into 579's containment chamber, fitting a round peg into a square hole, as it were, which resets the timeline. Pietro seems to be heading to do this exact same maneuver, but isn't sure why. As he continues walking across the country, he remarks on how far the containment unit for 579 is from Site 19. And the only way he knows where it is at all is because of some documentation he has, which he isn't sure how he obtained. He's walked past thousands of corpses so far, including a child's in a house he was scavenging from. He thought at first the child had just been shot in the head, but when he went to bury him, he saw hundreds of pale worms wriggling underneath the boy's skin.
With the burying nonsense. Why are you doing that? Just move, big fella. You've seen thousands of people. You're telling me you're gonna stop every time you see a dead guy? No, you're not, alright? No, you're not. Yeah, maybe 055 has had some effect, so he knew he had to go get it, but then as soon as he was walking, he totally forgot, because it makes the shit leak out of your brain. You don't know what it is. I don't know, man. I don't know why he doesn't remember anything. Also, if you're walking all the way across the US, good luck with that, bro. That's gonna take you years.
Out of the body as soon as he touched them, and they all had the boy's face, laughing as they scurried into a drain.
That's messed up.
Pietro decides not to bury anyone else, and
Correct.
struggles with continuing on his journey. He discovers that if he starts to get overwhelmed by his situation, all he has to do is open up the briefcase, and he suddenly finds himself miles ahead, feeling good about himself. 055 seems to be wiping out more than just knowledge about itself, but also entire blocks of time. Pietro finds a laptop in the corpse of a Foundation agent, half buried in the woods. He finds more info on some anomalies that the Foundation are using against humanity. SCP-5000 is a facility under Yellowstone Park that can be used to recreate humanity in case of a disaster. The Foundation decides to trigger the eruption of Yellowstone, completely destroying SCP-5000
is that even possible?
And blanketing most of the country in ash. This is interesting to note, as it means that the Foundation isn't just intent on wiping out the current crop of humanity and rebuilding it, but instead is intent on obliterating humanity completely.
I was gonna say, I'm not too sure you can just trigger Yellowstone erupting, no? Is that possible? Or did this guy just want to get it in there? Because a lot of people have conspiracy theories about Yellowstone. If it erupts, it will end the world, you know?
SCP-2200 is sort of a tricky SCP to summarize in a sentence or two. But basically, it's a sword that causes victims killed with it to be recreated on an island in metal form. These metal copies retain their former memories and personalities, but don't need to eat, drink, or sleep. But they can still die in this form as well. The Foundation managed to mass-produce these swords, which teleport to individuals who are likely to use them. And the island where the metal copies appear is now overflowing, with living copies trapped under dead ones.
Oh, that's messed up.
Probably not the most effective strategy the Foundation has come up with, but there you go.
I mean, you can't escape that reality.
SCP-2241 is a 7-year-old boy with fledgling reality bender abilities that the Foundation was previously studying, with the O5 Council interested in raising him as a useful tool. Seems they got their wish, as 2241 is now being used to wipe out refugee camps. And they're sending him over to the bunker at Ganzir, since they're still having trouble breaking in. SCP-2466 is an app on a smartphone that plays out like a battle from the Pokemon series of games, with the player fighting against a Mega Charizard.
What the hell? What? What? Oh, this video is getting ridiculous. I'm sorry. This is ridiculous, boys and girls. Like that. Let's take a moment. This is actually ridiculous. Fully ridiculous. I can't anymore. What am I hearing?
The app compels residents of a specific town in California to carry out certain actions based on the Charizard's moves, which range from socially disruptive to violent or suicidal. This app was used by the Foundation for some time until it permanently crashed, presumably because there were no residents left in that town. Again, not incredibly effective overall. SCP-2639 are 3 individuals who somehow got trapped in a server running the video game Quake, and are able to manifest occasionally in the real world for a short time.
That's messed up.
Carrying out a death match that is capable of destroying structures and killing non-participants.
Why is it getting so odd? Who wrote this SCP, bro? Who wrote this SCP? This is getting so stupid now. Oh my god. Look, boys, SCP-5000, I don't even know what to say anymore. I understand why you all requested it, because it's so weird. Like, what am I hearing? Like, I feel like I'm the only person who doesn't even know what Quake is. You know, I hear people talking about it. I heard Joe Rogan talking about it on so many podcasts, I don't even know what it is.
Since the individuals can't die, possess heavy firepower, and are exceptionally bored, the Foundation had previously recruited them as an MTF, sent into extreme situations requiring the elimination of hostile non-human targets. The group of 3 were average teenagers, and really didn't want to harm anyone. In this situation, the Foundation sent them into survivor communities and opposing groups to kill everyone present, telling them that they were monsters that have escaped from containment. The 3 soon figured this wasn't the case, and after a short time, have ceased all hostile activities for the Foundation's behalf. Pietro makes a journal entry about sitting near a campfire in his suit with a group of GOC soldiers who don't know that he's there. He appreciates the company regardless. The GOC soldiers don't really seem to have anywhere to go at this point and are simply wandering. Pietro contemplated momentarily about asking them for help to get to 579, but thought better of it, commenting that he's less of a tourist now and more of a ghost. He does tap into a GOC database while hanging out near the soldiers, though, and retrieves an interview log from inside Ganzir. The interviewer is a commander with the GOC, Morrison, and the interviewee is a captured MTF agent, Ross. Morrison had captured the MTF when they were trying to sneak into the bunker, and so far none of them had spoken at all except for Ross. Ross says it's because they've met before, during a joint operation between the Foundation and the GOC a few years ago. When they caught the MTF, they had been trying to sneak in with a group of refugees. Upon being noticed, the MTF opened fire into the crowds before being captured.
Messed
When
up,
asked if he thinks that's crazy, Ross simply laughs, saying that the GOC are crazy as well if they think they can do anything to stop the Foundation. When threatened with enhanced interrogation, implying torture, Ross laughs again and says they can do whatever they want, since he's not afraid, after realizing that you're not supposed to feel pain. Morrison asks what he means, and Ross hesitates, telling him that he wouldn't want him to say. Morrison responds that he does, but Ross says he wasn't talking to Morrison. Upon further pressuring, Ross acquiesces, but what he says is inaudible in the recording. The doctor present in the room tells him that he'll have to speak up, as the microphone only has so much gain. What Ross says next is removed from the record, but both Morrison and the doctor can be heard loudly screaming, with the sounds of wet cracks and rushing wind heard. Ross says they've done this to themselves, and he had warned them. He really liked them, so he was trying to be nice. He remarks that they fight in the light, so you can die in the dark. This is a twist on a common Foundation motto, We die in the dark, so you can live in the light. The log ends with Ross calling them disgusting, and Pietro notes that right after this, some emergency resulted in the destruction of Ganzir. The latter part of this interview log is pretty important, as it is very...
So is it some kind of what's the word? Cognito hazard. That's what this, whatever causing this, obviously is some kind of cognito hazard room.
Very similar to another interview log, the one with SCP-5000, the hard-to-destroy reptile. I haven't really talked about 682 much, but its primary feature of being practically impossible to destroy isn't really important here. What is important is its hatred of all life. In an interview log with 682, after it finished slaughtering some farmers, it's reluctant to speak. It mumbles something incomprehensible, so the doctor present remarks that the microphone only has so much
Not
gain,
again.
and it needs to be moved closer. While mauling the D-Class's body, who is tasked with moving the microphone, 682 is heard saying that they were disgusting. This connection isn't a coincidence, and we're definitely going to delve further into this later, but just take note of it for now. Pietro makes another entry discussing how it's even harder to keep going, now that the GOC are pretty much wiped out, as there seems to be even less hope left now. Pietro stopped eating and drinking, since the suit can sustain him anyways, and the Foundation has been spreading any number of weird viruses across the globe. He's seen corpses in pretty much every condition imaginable, including walking around.
Oh no.
He still occasionally opens the briefcase, but it isn't working as well as before, as he isn't jumping ahead as much, and doesn't feel as great afterwards. He ponders if he's growing numb to it, and wonders why he's even going to 579. We get info on a few more SCPs being used by the Foundation. SCP-3078 is a series of images that causes viewers to break out in uncontrollable laughter until dying by suffocation.
Oh my god. That's messed up.
The Church of the Broken God managed to get the internet back online, but the Foundation quickly spread thousands of copies of 3078 until the Church brought the internet back down again. 3179 is a highly intelligent liquid metal alien capable of expanding its mass, altering its form, and creating smaller entities that can act autonomously. It was originally found by a branch of the Church of the Broken God, who believed it to be sent by their deity, but after discovering it to be invariably hostile, they managed to contain it and hand it over to the Foundation. After being released, it sparked a bit of a civil war in the Church, as they're divided on whether or not it's actually their deity.
Morons.
Either way, it's now continually pumping out what are essentially Terminators. SCP-3199 are large, hostile humanoid entities that continually lay extremely durable eggs containing more of their species. They hunt live subjects around their hatchlings, liquefying internal organs and bones and feeding the corpses to their young.
Oh.
This one didn't require much creativity, as the Foundation has just been airdropping the eggs around the world. Pietro keeps moving, a bit slower than before as he's losing motivation. He's been seeing increasingly strange things in the world, including what he calls blinkers, which he's pretty sure were created by the Foundation somehow. They're statues of MTF soldiers with empty sockets for eyes, and arms carved into blade. If you look at them, nothing happens, but if you look away, they rapidly move and kill you. Somehow, the Foundation managed to turn MTF soldiers into copies of SCP-173.
I was about to say, what the hell? SCP-173 soldiers? Oh, yeah, we're all dead, boys. Yeah, we can't do shit, man. I was gonna say, there was one SCP I was thinking of and they haven't mentioned yet, and I can't remember it. Oh, for goodness sake, man.
They don't kill Pietro when he stops looking at them, but they do stop when he is looking. So he figures eventually they'll start swinging just to try and hit him. So he avoids them. The other thing he's seen is a lot weirder. A person stretched out on the horizon, like a bad Photoshop effect. The person's body was stretched from the ground up to the clouds,
Like Demon
with gaps
Lava.
in space around its body like wings, and it just seemed to be floating. The Foundation seemed to be fighting this anomaly, and Pietro thinks about going to talk to them as they might not be affected by what's going on, but decides not to risk it. He leaves another journal entry lamenting that he saw a kid die today and could have helped her, but didn't. We get our last couple of entries about anomalies the Foundation are using. SCP-4290 was a massive entity that had been sealed away 10,000 years ago, and then died 9,000 years ago due to malnutrition.
I was gonna say, what happened to SCP, the deer? I don't know what number it is, but what's the deer up to? Surely they released him too. And I guess SCP-001 is all up in your head, so if you believe in the angel, surely what's the angel up to?
Making it effectively neutralized. The Foundation decided to take SCP-008, a virus that reanimates corpses as zombies, enhance it using SCP-914, the Clockworks, and revive the entity.
That's messed up.
A group from the Serpent's Hand known as Kaiju-mancers tried to take it on, but the results are unknown, and Pietro says that they should have gone with the rest of the Serpent's Hand when they detached the Wanderer's library from this universe.
Yep, that was should have done that.
SCP-4666, the Yule Man, is a rather horrific entity that stalks families during Christmas time, eventually murdering most of the family and abducting a child.
How can you use the Yule Man? You can't catch him. I mean, just letting him do his thing's pretty messed up.
Forced to make toys out of other children. The Foundation, of course, manages to use certain temporal anomalies so that it's Christmas every day.
Oh, fuck.
Which normally might be the topic of a Disney film, but in this case, probably not.
To be fair, he doesn't really do that much damage in comparison to some of the other ones. But would he not get tired out, considering he only usually does his thing over like 12 days or whatever? Wouldn't he now be doing it every day? It would be kind of messed up. I mean, he only goes for kids, though. And he only does between 1 and 3 a night. So if you're trying to wipe out the child population just using him, it's going to take a while.
There are presumably more examples, but Pietro decides that nobody's ever going to read this anyways, and stops. He later comes across a teenage girl sitting at a makeshift fire in an abandoned jewelry store. He recognizes the ruby amulet hanging around the girl's neck as SCP-963, meaning that this is the one and only Dr. Bright. Pietro turns off the perception filter on the suit, startling Bright with his sudden appearance. Bright assumes that Pietro was sent here to kill him, but Pietro assures him that he managed to get away from the Foundation. Bright remarks that Pietro's face looks like a disaster and desperately needs sleep, despite Pietro's response that he's fine. Pietro sits across from Bright and tells him that he got lucky when this all started.
Dr. Bright can't die, and I don't think you can destroy the amulet. So, Dr. Bright is just gonna either be trapped in there when he runs out of bodies, I guess. That would be the situation.
Managing to make it into the suit. Bright, of course, was a senior staff member, meaning that he received those files that the O5 Council sent out after making a discovery about the human psychospace. The first set of files were a series of instructions, which caused suicides and resignations, if you remember. But Dr. Bright can't remember the instructions because of the second set of files sent out. These were later sent out to all personnel, and Bright reveals that they were just a bunch of images of eggs, trees, and other religious stuff. It didn't mean anything to Bright, and he suspects that whatever effect they would have had was nullified by his amulet. Pietro believes that to mean it was some sort of mimetic agent, meaning an anomaly that affects someone's mind. But Bright disagrees, saying that he knows what a mimetic agent feels like, and this was different. It felt like he was supposed to be released from something, rather than something being forced on him. Basically, Bright doesn't know what's going on either. When Pietro tells him that he's going to 579, Bright says that there are easier ways to commit suicide, as not even he knows what 579 is, and he's a pretty big deal. Bright instead is heading towards SCP-1437, an endless hole that leads to an unknown number of parallel universes. Bright plans on throwing the amulet down the hole and seeing where he wakes up.
Not bad.
The two wish each other luck and part ways. We'll dissect what this conversation means at the end.
I mean, considering that dude fell down the hole, maybe Dr. Bright, he gave him the amulet.
More files got deleted, and Pietro is now standing outside of the site containing SCP-579.
Well done.
He doesn't see any guards, and security seems to be completely down, as if the place has been abandoned for quite some time, despite it being supposedly an extremely high-priority facility. He's having difficulty breathing, and has a feeling of an impending end. As he walks closer, he feels like someone is pressing a gun against the back of his head, pushing him forward. He doesn't know what SCP-579 is, but he knows that it's looking at him. The next entry is quite a bit worse for Pietro, as the facility was not empty, but instead filled with blinkers, the SCP-173 copies. They can't see him, but have figured out that he's here, and are now slashing everything in sight. Pietro's leg gets gouged, and although they're not chasing him, they're headed towards 579's containment cell as well. Pietro makes it there first, sealing the door behind him as they start to slash through it. There are a number of instruments monitoring 579, but even without them, he knows that 579 is here because he can feel it. There's a hole in the floor that leads to 579, but it's not a direct drop, as Pietro hoped that he could just throw the briefcase down. Instead, it looks like he's going to have to jump down the hole and throw the briefcase on the way down, inevitably resulting in his death. Pietro comments that he's realized he's not the detective in a detective story, but instead the murder victim. He dies for someone else's story, and the human race is going with him. He knows who is responsible for this destruction, and how, but he still doesn't know why. He ponders why this is happening. Why did the Foundation send out those files? Why did Ganzir fall? Why did he take this briefcase across the world? Why is he here? And why is he going to die?
I guess that's why it's called Why, because no one knows why anything's going on.
He begs anyone reading this to figure it out, and then he drops down the hole. We see a black image labeled as SCP-579, and then a final journal entry reading, "Oh, so that's how it is," before Pietro's life signs are lost. This is when he appeared dead in the suit inside of the 579 containment cell. I've already explained what happened there, bringing 055 and 579 together to reset the timeline, but it's finally time to explain why. There are clues sprinkled throughout this entire article that we can piece together, but the black image at the end is a big one. Hidden in the image is a secret dialogue between two members of the O5 Council. One is looking at a document with shaking hands, asking if this is confirmed. The other nods, saying that they got the report from Numa staff yesterday. It's everyone, even the Council. The first overseer notes his incredulity at finding himself agreeing with that damn lizard. They'll have to disseminate a cure among personnel before they get things underway, because it'll try to stop them otherwise. The other overseer asks God to help them, but the first rebukes him, saying that that's it talking. We know the lizard referenced is 682, who is critical to this piece, but what they're referring to as it is a bit more nebulous. Let's go back to Project Numa, which discovered something rather startling in the human psychospace. This means that they found something intrinsically present in the unconscious minds of every human, and it was startling enough to cause the Foundation to want to wipe out humanity.
Wow, what the hell is hiding in there? What's hiding, bro? Something's hiding. I mean, unconscious mind is like way more powerful than your conscious mind, because your conscious mind can only really process one thing at a time. You know what I mean? And your conscious mind is literally doing everything else. And I'm reading a book at the moment that is detailing a lot about that. But yeah, if you guys want to know the book, I guess let me show you. This is the one I'm reading. First chapter. I mean, that's pretty much what we was talking about. So, yeah. Unconscious mind is definitely way stronger. So if there's something creepy ass hiding in there, I don't know what could be hiding in there that's scaring them so badly, but I guess we're gonna find out.
What's more, this discovery led the O5 Council to agree with SCP-682, who despises all life.
That's crazy.
The Council spread a series of instructions to their senior staff members, which we don't get to know about, but it did lead many of them to kill themselves or resign. This likely means that they were informed of what was about to happen to the world, but weren't mentally altered just yet. This happened with the second set of files, which were spread across most of the Foundation, immediately ceasing all suicides and resignations, because now everyone was fully committed to wiping out humanity.
What? I used to know, when he was falling, he saw this image that had the text in it, the Pietro guy, I'm assuming, and then he finds out why it all happened. And also SCP-5000, I think, must be some sort of, I mean, I don't know what it is, but surely it can teleport you between all of its copies in other dimensions if he's come to a different dimension.
While some would believe this to be a memetic agent that forcibly altered the Foundation's thinking, Bright confirms that it was not. In other words, instead of planting new code into a person's brain, whatever was in the second set of files released something in their brains, allowing them to see what was in the psychospace that makes humanity disgusting. Essentially, what they were released from was humanity, becoming outsiders like 682. This process involved a completely different way of thinking on multiple levels, as for one, they no longer felt pain, as shown in the stabbing test, and two, they were no longer considered part of humanity, as shown by SCP-1440, which destroys anything nearby connected to humanity. Dr. Bright wasn't affected by the second set of files because of his amulet, making him immortal, which already disconnects him from humanity. It's interesting that the project that discovered all this was known as Pneuma, which is an ancient Greek word meaning breath, but is also used in religious context to mean spirit or soul. Pneumatology is the study of the Holy Spirit, an aspect of God that makes up the Holy Trinity. The it referred to before by the O5s could be the human soul, an essential part of what makes us human. The researchers that Pietro came across in Site-19 were missing a spark from their eyes, perhaps suggesting that they no longer possessed a soul.
So he's saying they released the soul and everyone decided, you know what, so we need to release everybody, so let's kill everyone, I guess.
It's also interesting that the GOC's fortress was named Ganzir, after a palace in the Sumerian underworld where the goddess Ereshkigal ruled over the dead.
Fair play.
Those that still had souls, the refugees, were allowed to enter Ganzir, but those without them, the Foundation agents, relentlessly worked to break in. Ganzir finally fell because the soulless came inside. Perhaps the stretched figure that the Foundation was fighting was indeed the Holy Spirit, who helped guide Pietro towards the end goal so that humanity could be saved. Perhaps I'm overthinking things, but since the theme of the SCP-5000 contest was mystery, it's fitting that the winner would be so incredibly mysterious.
Oh shit, was it as a contest?
Regardless of what it all means, SCP-5000 is a fascinating tale of one man wandering like a ghost through the end of the world, as the SCP Foundation tears it apart.
So they had a contest to see who gets SCP-5000. Somebody told me that already, I just forgot it. I mean, fair enough, this is incredibly detailed and incredibly creepy and incredibly mysterious, you know what I mean? So, good job.
In the end, maybe it doesn't really matter to find all the answers to the question, why? As there will always be more questions. One of those questions might be, if this all happened once, why can't it happen again?
I mean, it can, but there's infinite universes, so you know. Oh, we get the hidden text in the image, let's go! I can't see the top. It says you. You said invaded, right? Might be one of the last times that happens. Right. Don't say that, it must be worse for you. That's what everyone says right after they find out something they don't like. Jesus Christ. It's not something that can be hashed out in a few hours, man. Can you be quiet for a minute? Of course I can't, not yet. the feeling of being invaded. Why not? Don't say that. Don't even talk about it. We should have left well enough alone. I keep thinking like it should be better to end it all, not with what we found. How long are they going to take? But it's not like that. Everything I am, you know what they'll say. It's me, it's over, I'll take time. You're germophobic, right? Did you get a reply? We shouldn't have looked, you two. I doubt anyone's going to be talking about anything else anymore. I feel sick. Well then, I don't know what they found in the human unconscious mind. You know, I have no idea what they found. But obviously, it's creepy enough to scare the daylight out of everybody. I mean, there's something inside you. They reference germophobic, so maybe there's some weird thing manifesting in there. And obviously, if you're a germ and you don't like the idea of stuff inside you and all of that, then maybe this would creep you out even more. Personally, I think this SCP is kind of creepy. Obviously, it comes in the form of Pietro falling into another dimension. So the dimension that actually has his body and all of this now is not found out what the hell is living in your unconscious mind. Maybe it would have been better instead of killing off the whole human race, they just killed each other or just used amnestics to forget. But then again, if it's that bad, who knows? And I love how it ties back into the lizard, because the lizard obviously hates humanity, but he can't the only reason he really gives is disgusting, right? You're all disgusting. And why he hates life, does he not? Or does he only hate humanity? I don't know. But the lizard obviously has never really fully explained what the problem is. And it could also say the pestilence. It could link to 049, the plague doctor, because he's trying to cure something and he always reanimates and kills the person, reanimates them. So maybe that's what he's trying to cure. I mean, SCP-343 is mysteriously not involved, and he does get a tiny mention in there saying that's what whatever wants. And obviously this guy says it's the Holy Spirit that's inside of you. So maybe it is. I don't know. Obviously there's a few SCPs that aren't in this story that I think would be like Abel. I feel like Abel would be involved because he is you can't stop that guy. He'll be killing people all day long. He could definitely decimate a few cities by himself, and maybe a few countries. Also, the deer was not involved in this one, which is quite weird because the deer is also an alien, so I don't know. But yeah, that was definitely quite crazy, man. That was I did not expect that. I love how it ties in. It's a great story. It was very well written, and the Exploring series done a great job of making it concise into one video that flowed perfectly. It flowed well. You could understand the whole story. He obviously put a lot of work into scripting that video, man. So shout out to him. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Thank you all for watching, man. Hopefully you enjoyed. I'll see you all next time.